Have you ever wondered if you're behind on money for your age? Whether you're 25, 35, or 50, there are real benchmarks for how much you should have saved by now, and most people have absolutely no idea where they actually stand. That uncertainty is dangerous, because you can't fix a problem you can't see, and quietly falling behind for years is how people end up unable to retire. So today, I'm going to give you clear, honest targets for every age, exactly how much you should aim to have saved by 25, 30, 40, 50, and beyond, so you can finally see the truth about where you stand. Now, I need to say this up front, and I'll come back to it. If you find out you're behind, do not panic, because I'm also going to give you the exact catch-up plan that works at any age. These numbers are a wake-up call and a roadmap, not a judgment. By the end, you'll know your target, know where you stand, and know exactly what to do next. Let's get into it. Welcome to Money Decoded. Before the numbers, let's be clear on why age-based targets matter so much, because they change how you handle money. Most people drift through their financial life with no target at all. They save a little when they can, spend the rest, and just hope it works out. But hope is not a plan, and without a target, you have no way to know if you're on track or quietly heading for disaster until it's too late to fix. Age-based benchmarks solve this by giving you a checkpoint, a simple way to glance at your life and ask, am I where I should be? These targets are usually built around one goal, being able to retire comfortably someday, without working forever. They're typically expressed as multiples of your income, because someone earning more needs more saved to maintain their lifestyle in retirement. So instead of a random dollar amount, the targets scale to you. Think of them like mile markers on a long road trip. They don't judge you, they just tell you how far you've come and how far you have to go, so you can adjust your speed. And knowing your marker is the first step to hitting your destination. But first, let's clear up the myths that make people ignore these numbers entirely. Let's destroy the myths that keep people from ever facing these numbers. Myth 1, if I'm behind, it's hopeless, so why even look? This is the most damaging belief of all, because the truth is the opposite. The people who look at the numbers and face reality are exactly the ones who catch up, and you have more power to fix this than you think, at any age. Myth 2, these benchmarks don't apply to me, my situation is different. Your exact numbers will vary, but the principle, save a growing multiple of your income over time, applies to almost everyone who wants to eventually stop working. Myth 3, I need a high income to ever hit these targets. Not true, because the targets are multiples of your own income, so they scale to you, and consistency matters far more than a big salary. Myth 4, it's too late for me to start now. It is not, because even starting later, the combination of a higher savings rate and compounding can build a serious nest egg, and starting today always beats starting next year. So drop the excuses and the fear, and let's look at the actual numbers, because knowing them is power. Here are the targets for every age. Here are the benchmarks, based on widely used guidelines for retiring comfortably, expressed as multiples of your annual income. First, in your 20s, your main job is simply to start, get out of debt, build an emergency fund, and begin investing. A common goal is to have roughly 1 times your annual salary saved by around age 30. So if you earn $50,000 a year, aim for about $50,000 saved by 30. By age 40, the target jumps to around 3 times your income, so that same person would aim for about $150,000. By age 50, aim for roughly 6 times your income. By age 60, about 8 times. And by around age 67, the traditional retirement age, the goal is to have about 10 times your annual income saved, so that $50,000 earner would target around $500,000 to retire comfortably. Now, these are rules of thumb, not laws, but notice the pattern, the multiple keeps climbing, 1 times by 30, 3 by 40, 6 by 50, 8 by 60, 10 by 67. And here's what makes it achievable, you're not saving all that from your paycheck alone, compounding growth does a huge amount of the heavy lifting over the decades. But there's crucial honest fine print before you compare yourself. Now the honest fine print, because these numbers can either motivate you or crush you, depending on how you use them. First, these are general guidelines, often based on a typical retirement age and a comfortable lifestyle, so your real target depends on your goals, your cost of living, and when you want to retire. If you plan to live simply, you may need less, so treat these as a starting reference, not gospel. Second, and please hear this, if you're behind, you are completely normal. A huge portion of people are behind these benchmarks, and it does not make you a failure, it makes you like most people. The benchmark is a direction to move toward, not a verdict on your worth. Third, what matters most is not where you are today, but your trajectory from here. Your past savings are fixed, you can't change them, but your savings rate starting right now is fully in your control, and that's what determines your future. Fourth, do not let being behind make you give up, because giving up is the only real way to lose. Every year you start improving, you bend your trajectory upward. So use these numbers as fuel, not shame. Now let's figure out your plan, wherever you're starting. So here's your first move, find out exactly where you stand, honestly and without shame. Add up everything you have saved and invested for the long term, your retirement accounts, your investments, your savings. Then divide that total by your annual income to get your current multiple. For example, if you've saved $50,000 and earned $50,000 a year, you're at 1 times your income. Now compare that to the benchmark for your age, 1 times by 30, 3 by 40, 6 by 50, and so on. This simple calculation gives you something most people never have, a clear, honest picture of where you actually are. Maybe you're right on track, and you'll feel a wave of relief. Maybe you're ahead, and that's fantastic. Or maybe you're behind, and if so, take a breath, because now you can actually do something about it, and that's infinitely better than not knowing. Do not skip this step out of fear. Facing the number is what separates the people who fix their finances from the people who quietly drift toward disaster. Once you know your starting point and your target, the gap between them becomes your mission. And closing that gap is your second move. Your second move is the catch-up plan, and it works at any age, whether you're ahead, on track, or far behind. It comes down to 3 levers. Lever 1, and the most powerful, raise your savings rate. The single biggest factor in hitting these targets is the percentage of your income you invest, so push it up, even a few percent more, invest it consistently, dramatically changes your outcome over time. If you're behind, aim higher, 15, 20% or more of your income toward the future. Lever 2, use the accelerators, invest inside tax-advantaged accounts like a 401k and a Roth IRA, and never leave free employer match money on the table. That match is an instant return that supercharges your catch-up. And keep that money in low-cost index funds so it grows efficiently. Lever 3, harness time, because even if you feel late, compounding still has years to work, and the sooner you increase your contributions, the more the growth does for you. Automate all of it so it happens without willpower. Raise your rate, use the accelerators, and let compounding close the gap. Being behind today does not decide your future, your savings rate starting now does. Let's lock in your first step tonight. Let's make this real with 3 moves tonight. First, calculate your current multiple. Add up your long-term savings and investments, divide by your annual income, and write down that number, then compare it to the benchmark for your age. This gives you your honest starting point. Second, set your next target. You don't have to fix everything at once, just aim for the next benchmark, and calculate roughly what that dollar amount is for you, so you have a concrete goal to move toward. Third, take one action to raise your savings rate right now. Log into your retirement account and increase your contribution by even 1 or 2%, or set up an automatic monthly investment if you don't have one, and make sure you're capturing any employer match. Calculate your multiple, set your target, raise your rate. If you do only one thing tonight, increase your retirement contribution by 1% or 2%, because that tiny change, automated and compounded over the years, is exactly how people quietly catch up and even get ahead. Small action tonight, big difference over a lifetime. So let me leave you with the truth that matters most. These age-based benchmarks are useful, they give you a target and a reality check, but here's what you must never forget, the most important number isn't where you are today, it's what you do next. Your past is fixed, but your future is wide open, and it's decided almost entirely by the choices you make starting right now. If you're ahead, fantastic, keep going and don't get complacent. If you're right on track, excellent, stay consistent. And if you're behind, which honestly describes most people, do not let it defeat you, because the moment you raise your savings rate and start moving toward your target, you take control of your entire financial future. I've seen the real power of this: people who felt hopelessly behind in their 40s who, by aggressively saving and investing, still built comfortable retirements, because compounding and consistency are that powerful. So don't use these numbers to feel ashamed, use them to get moving. Face your number, set your target, and take one step tonight. Wherever you're starting, the best time to improve your trajectory is always right now. Now, since hitting these targets depends on actually investing, I broke down exactly how to start, even with a little, in another video. Watch it next. So let's bring it home. There are real, age-based targets for how much you should have saved, expressed as multiples of your income, roughly 1 times by 30, 3 times by 40, 6 times by 50, 8 by 60, and about 10 times by your late 60s to retire comfortably. Use them as mile markers, not judgments. Find your current multiple by dividing your long-term savings by your income, compare it to your age's benchmark, and if you're behind, remember that's completely normal and totally fixable. The catch-up plan works at any age: raise your savings rate, use tax-advantaged accounts and your full employer match, invest in low-cost index funds, and let compounding in time close the gap. What matters most isn't your past, it's your trajectory starting now. Pick one move tonight, calculate your multiple, and increase your retirement contribution by even 1 or 2%. Now here's your perfect next watch. Hitting every one of these targets depends on investing, and I broke down exactly how to start, even with just $100, in another video. Go see it right now. Subscribe to Money Decoded USA. Real money help for everyday Americans, no hype. I'll see you in the next one.